Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and I got in two more distinct lots of really extremely old Magic cards going back to 94 through 97, and once again, not a lot of winners in there. Very surprising arrangement, but I thought, well, with all of the lots that have come into my shop, because everybody knows I'm the guy that pays cash for Magic cards in the area, I've got some advice, I guess. Everybody's heard the stories, the frickin' antique roadshow clone nonsense where it's just like, oh yeah, I got this box of 1,000 cards and it was a shoebox and I bought it at a rummage sale or garage sale or yard sale or I don't know, some places they're illegal, so you probably don't have a name for them. And oh my gosh, I pulled a $80 card out of it, or oh, there was a lion's eye diamond in it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sure that does happen, just not very often. The thing is, though, when you want to say, okay, I'm going to come across a card that's worth a ton now, at the time that it came out, was it popular? Was it played? Was it expensive? If it's, Mishra's Bauble or something, which I'm not sure about that at the time, but I heard that it wasn't always, $20 to $40. I mean, it was an uncommon. I'm sure at the time it was like 50 cents. So something like that, yeah, you could find it in what most people would consider bulk. And that's the thing is, okay, here's the three different types of collections, and there really are only three. I mean, we get really weird anomalies once in a while at my shop, but in general, it falls into three categories. One, it's somebody's bulk. Now, I'm going to mix bulk with somebody already looked it over. Now, that being the original owner or somebody else. Like somebody went through it, pulled all the rares, looked them up, sold them elsewhere, and now they're trying to sell the remainder. Even if they weren't the original owner, some people know to do that. Otherwise, the original owner, they played Magic, they know what they're worth, and they went through it, and they're trying to sell the remainder on Craigslist or Facebook. Or somebody else got their hands on it, and it was filtered in the first place. Like we're talking 10, 15 years ago it was filtered, because this is the way I always explain it to people, because they said, oh, what if we find a really valuable rare in this box? You won't. Do people open boosters, and did they do this back then? They open a booster and they're like, oh cool, here's the 3 uncommons and here's the 1 rare. Okay, cool, and then just keep it exactly in that order and put it into a bulk box. No. The rare goes in a deck box if you're super ghetto like me, or into a trade binder. So let's just get this out of the way. There's the other type of lot. I said there's 3 though. But type number 2 would be just nothing but rares, basically. Like you're basically looking at a trade binder. It's rares, it's foils, it's promos, it's play sets, it's somebody's binder. You're not going to find, 10-cent commons in there, because why would they bother? Why would they take up the sheet space? So you've got your bulk, your mostly commons, your I opened a booster but then took the rare and foil out and here's what's left type of box. And like I said, there are, really expensive uncommons that may or may not have been that popular at the time because they weren't popular in standard at the time, but they're popular in like Commander, Modern, Legacy, whatever. So you do find money in them. That's why when people bring in something and I look at the first 50 cards, I'm like, well, this doesn't look promising. I keep looking because I know every single one of those cards. So you've got mostly really bad cards because it's mostly 0 rares. Not even mostly. I mean, occasionally somebody will missort something. And then you've got the holy crap, this was clearly somebody's trade binder / deck building binder / collection. So you can very clearly tell the difference. I mean, obviously, I didn't even need to tell you this. You'd look through it and be like, well, this is bulk. Sometimes it's even like, depending upon what the set and what the structure of the booster actually was back then, it would quite literally be, 10 commons or whatever and then 3 uncommons. You can look through it and be like, this is from, well, not a draft. I was going to say a draft. No, they wouldn't be in that order from a draft. But this is from, like, a thing. So the third type is what you should be very interested in because this is what we got in. This was like some kind of like estate sale kind of thing. Like, somebody who doesn't really know what's up selling them, just whatever. Sealed and blind, by the way. That's always fun, but the price matched. I don't really know how to explain what these are, but basically I would just say that they're like in between. They're basically somebody's entire card collection or like a pretty good part of it. It's for the not so organized people because remember, not everybody goes, okay, rare, foil, sort, sort by rarity, sort by this, maybe even sort by color, sort by names. Nobody does that. Only I do that, and that's because I have to sell them. But seriously, not everybody even bothers to go like, oh, rare, that goes to the binder. Not everybody has a binder. They're too lazy to put the card in the binder. So maybe they open some stuff, some packs, and then they're like, okay, well, here's this. I don't play that color. I don't have a deck that'll go into. So they leave the rare or the foil or whatever in the box. And it's just like I'm an amateur MTG player. I'm not that into it. Go to some events, whatever, go to pre-release. And this is like, 1,000 or 1,500 cards that they own, period. If it's not in a deck, it goes into this box. And the funny thing is that's kind of what we just got in. And I see this more often than you might think. I mean, you probably think it's either all, oh my gosh, binders, or oh my gosh, garbage. But I'd say 50% of them are like, no, this is just somebody's entire collection, the whole thing. So the one we just got in, for example, the first 60 cards were quite literally the deck. I mean, I think it was even sleeved. But it was, or no, actually that one it wasn't sleeved. That was the one before it. But yeah, we just looked through it, and it was like, here, this is clearly, 4 of 4 of 4 of. I think the deck was even sorted. And I thought, well, this might be an event deck. It might be some kind of sealed product. It could be a dual deck for all I know. I don't know. But it even had like the basic lands and everything. The problem is with this one, it wasn't exactly 60 cards actually, come to think of it, because it was missing any kind of color fixing. The whole mana base was crap. So I think the person took out the dual lands and probably put them into a different deck would be my guess. But once in a while you get the whole deck. Sometimes it's even in one of those paper deck boxes that was in like the fat packs. And it's in the row, like the big row of 2,000 cards, but it's in a box. Because, why would you mix your deck in with your cards? Why does anybody do half the crap they do? I'd love to interview some of these people. Like, go back in time and be like, why are you doing this? 10 years in the future, I'm going to be looking at this and wondering, why did you mix this in with your bulk? I don't get it. Put a divider in or something. My God. So you get that, and then you keep going. You're like, okay, here's a pocket of 30 rares. And sometimes they're like on-color rares. So maybe that used to be a deck, or they traded for them, or they disassembled the deck, or they just, I don't know, it was part of who knows, commander. It could be anything. It's just, here's a bunch of rares that are all green. All right. And then you get the inevitable pocket of 200 basic lands sorted by color, because who doesn't own that? Like I said, these are people's entire collections. And it's not like they have 10,000 cards, because then the collection would probably involve a binder and then bulk and then basics. And, when you get to that volume and that sales level and that involvement and that investment in Magic, you tend to keep things a little bit more organized than just, oh, I play occasionally or I got into it for a couple months, and then keep everything in one box for cost reasons and simplicity. So sometimes you're fanning through and then you're like, oh, look, like a pre-release participation promo or like a stamped promo for like game day. Okay. Because it's like, where else are they going to put the cards? It's the entire collection. It's every card the person owns. So if they went to an event, they put the card in there, which is why I kind of like these, because they're very, very like exciting and treasure hunty. So inevitably, like I said, you hit the basic lands, and you're gonna also hit like the bulk, like the commons, the uncommons, whatever. Sometimes there's rares mixed in because these are not like flawlessly sorted, but it's usually like the bad end of the strip and then like the good end of the strip. And they would know which end to pull from, and they'd kind of know where the rares were, and sometimes they put a sleeve card as a divider, something clever, but not always. So while these types of collections, these types of card lots and package deals and all that, they do pop up quite often, it's still not terribly often to find a whole bunch of, money cards, because a lot of times powerful cards back then are powerful cards now. And so when somebody got out of it, they just sold off, a big handful of cards that they knew were worthwhile. And then what they had left, they couldn't sell, they couldn't move. People weren't interested in it. Not a lot of people have like full, sets of 8 dual lands in a deck. They leave it in their collection, they quit Magic, and then they don't touch it. A lot of people, they know what they spent building the deck, and then it's like a year or two later, they realize they haven't played Magic in a while, or their store closed, and then they're like, hey, I bet I could sell these. And yeah, I bet you could. And, buy listing is a thing. So unless it goes back to like the pre-internet era, basically, people probably sold them off. So I'm yet to get an absolute jackpot of a lot. In fact, the very first one I ever got, we looked through like 1,500 or 2,000 cards, maybe even more. And there was one card in there worth about $32, and it was 100% revised. the entire thing was revised. And I kept telling him, I'm like, dude, this is revised. Like, we're 75% of the way through it. And he's like, well, I hate to be wasting your time. I'm like, this is freaking revised. I mean, if you sort high to low and revise, I think that set had like 350 cards or something just outrageously high in it. And there's only, like 20, like, real money cards, depending upon what you'd consider to be real money. I mean, there's a couple worth a couple hundred, though. And I told him, I'm like, the very last card in here could be a dual land, and you'll have a couple $100. I mean, no joke. But we ended up finding, like, one card, and that was it. I think it was, like, time something, and it was, like, $30-some. And it was, like, right near the back. There was a ton of rares in there. A ton. I mean, this was, like... They opened a whole booster box, obviously took a couple money cards out for Dexter to sell, and then left most of the rest. So there was a lot of rares mixed in, kind of chaotically too. But we were so disappointed. He ended up just like keeping it because he's like, oh, maybe I'll keep him for a while. I think he maybe, because this always happens, thought I was lying and that I kept finding cards that I thought were hot, lied about the price, and then was going to lowball them on the lot. And I'm like... That's why I hate being the first one to look through something, because no matter what you tell them, like if you tell them, oh, there's nothing in here, oh, but I'll buy it, I'm interested. Oh, there's only $50, $100 worth in there, I'll give you 100 for it. They'll take it to get a second opinion because they're like, he's willing to offer 50 for it. I wonder if it's actually worth 500 because it's got to be worth at least 50. And, you know, if I'm reselling it, it's obviously worth at least 100. I wonder if I could get a second offer. You know, that's not an insignificant amount of money. And then they never come back because they go somewhere else, get a worse offer. And then they're too embarrassed to come back and be like, oh, everybody else lowballed me and your price was accurate. Because I legit pay like 60 to 75% of the current eBay value and then sell it on eBay. I mean, nobody pays higher than me. I already know that I'm going to be the highest quote. And so when they bring it around to 3 other shops or look up on eBay or show it to their friends or whatever, they're going to get such pathetically low offers. And then they're going to be like, oh, man, it's going to look so bad if I come back in because they don't leave and say I'm going to get a second opinion. They're like, oh, maybe I'll hold on to them. Oh, I was hoping it was worth more, blah, 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 blah. And if they've got, you know, $1,000 worth of cards and I offer them 700 cash on the spot, they're like, holy crap, 700, this thing's no joke. What if somebody else is willing to pay me 800 or 1,000? Or what if there's a better vendor out there? Or what if there is, you know, a secret top, you know, $10,000 Lotus in there that I don't know about? And then they still bring it to somebody else and they still don't come back. So the only ones that people have ever sold to me is either people who know me personally and trust me, or people who already brought it somewhere else, got some just horrific lowball offer, got declined, but got like an assessment of what they think approximately it's worth. Just what's good, what's not, is it worth it? You know, people fan through it real quick. And then I quadruple it, basically. And they're like, okay. And I tell them straight to their face, I'm like, you aren't going to get a better offer than this. This is exactly this percent of what I can sell it for, and this is what I'm going to sell it for. I'm not going to beat around the bush. So usually if I'm the second, third, or fourth one they went to, then they'll take the cash offer. So that's why, okay, so you get the all, you know, the golden, amazing, super duper trade binders worth thousands of dollars, and then people usually want way the hell too much money for it. Like, I'm pretty generous, but they want like face value or piss off, which I don't know if they just don't know how businesses work, where we have to, you know, make a profit. Maybe he's got me confused with an investor where I'll pay face and then sit on them. So you end up not getting those. Then you got the absolute garbage waste of time ones, which, I mean, I hate to say that because looking through old lots is never a waste of time. Even if there's no good cards in there, it still was worth looking at. So I hate to use the term waste of time, but it does mathematically end up being not a good use of time. You get a poor result, you get nothing, and then you get to tell the person they're worth nothing. Or if you picked it up blind at like a rummage sale or something, then you get nothing, which is awesome. And then the middle ones, they tend to walk away and go get a different quote. So it's like, so you get burned on all 3 of them. So the moral of the story is don't buy magic lots. And the other one I gotta throw in, everybody knows this, it goes without saying, but I'm sure this will be news to like one person. If somebody on Craigslist is like, oh, I don't know anything about magic, I got these from my brother, or he went off to the military and said just sell them, or they died, or this was a gift, or I used to play and I don't remember, whatever the ridiculous cliche excuse is. Oh, this guy owed me money and he gave me these, I don't know what they're worth. If they're worth money, they're counterfeits. And if they're like, I don't know anything about it, but you have to buy it blind and can't look through it, then they already look through it. They're probably an expert level Magic the Gathering card seller, and they're just trying to move some bulk for $60 that they know is worth 0. So don't waste your time with that. I mean, you could pursue leads. I know a guy, he's a friend of mine. He does mostly Pokemon, but he also does Magic, and he sells to me a lot, and I sell to him for Pokemon stuff, believe it or not. And basically, if it's on Facebook or Craigslist, he's making an offer, buying it, and looking at it in person. But if they say, no, we're selling it blind, you can't look through it, why? I mean, literally ask the person why. Because they're not going to have an answer. Like, oh, I want to keep it all together. Great, I'll keep it all together. I'll keep it in order. Oh, I don't want you to damage them. I've sorted over 500,000 cards. I deal with $100 cards all the time. I know how to handle cards. Oh, my friend said not to open them. Okay, well then your friend knows there's crap in there. I'm not gonna buy it blind. Now the one legit excuse is, oh well, I don't want to sit here all day while I look through every card and start looking them up and stuff, look through values. You know, like I got places to be and things to do. That actually is reasonable because I'm sure they had like 5 other people just sit there for an hour and look through every damn card. That's when I'm just like, oh, can I just take a 2-minute once through? Guarantee I'll just fan through it, check the rarity, look at the set symbols. I'm not going to look up individual cards. If they say no to that, they're lying. If they say yes to that, then good, do it. And you better be really good with just overall set numbers and rarity densities and judging which one of the 3 types this is. Then you can just make an offer from there. So if you fan through and see like literally no uncommons, let alone rares, let alone foils, yeah. No. But if you see like some rares interspersed, you see these patterns, you see like, oh, this looks like it might have been part of a deck, this looks like part of a collection, just buy it. Because I mean, if the price is right, I mean, if they're asking 100, maybe take a little closer look. And if they don't want to let you look at it for 10 minutes when it's $100, I mean, that's a little weird. So there is money to be made. You can, you know, hit the jackpot one, but I almost feel bad if somebody's like, oh yeah, just $50 is 1,000 cards, I don't know anything about it, it's my kids and he left them in the basement and he's off at college. Oh, we're cleaning up the garage or the basement and we found him and he said, oh yeah, cool, sell him, get whatever you want. So they're just asking 50, which is a number they completely just pulled out of thin air. They're not willing to do the research or anything, and then you fan through it and you're like, there's $1,000 worth of cards in here. You just see like a whole bunch of old school planeswalkers or something, or just some old staples from Modern, and you know, like original prints of stuff, not reprints from stuff that was in Modern Masters. I mean, you could be flipping through Tarmogoyf, Stark Confidants, that kind of stuff. And then you're like, yeah, I'll take it for 50. They're the one asking 50. They're the one being too lazy to actually get it assessed or priced out. But you're the one walking out the door sort of ripping them off. I mean, it's very debatable. It's very gray area, but I always feel bad doing that. And then the best thing is, I've heard stories, it's never happened to me, but I've heard stories. You tell them, you know, just so you know, like 50's a little low. Like there's a lot of cash in here. I'll give you 100. How about that? And then they're like, oh, there's value in there? Okay, it's not for sale now. I'm going to go get it appraised because you're making it sound like there's $500 in there because, well, usually there is. And then you get to offer them 300 to walk out the door with it. And then they start thinking there's more like 1,000 in there. They're going to say no matter what you offer. Because then if you went from 50 to 300 to 1,000 because you see $2,000 worth of cards in there, they're going to wonder why you offered 300. If you're willing to offer 1,000, why was 300 the offer that you made? I mean, I tend to lean very slightly towards the rummage sale policy because me and my friend and another guy who runs like a thrift resale store, we all get together. We're kind of like his pickers, but between us, we do eBay too, and we know a lot of people who own some other resale shops. We know what sells. We know what it sells for, you know, car audio, tools, furniture, you know, the big staple online sales stuff, you know, not like weird stuff, decor, Christmas items, hell no. But like even jewelry and stuff, we know how to test that, and I got perfect vision so I can check what the carats are just immediately. So we'll go all around to rummage sales and we'll go get like a Milwaukee brand set of tools for like that they got for $30 that all tested and working with the battery in the case, and we'll know we could flip that for $100 same day. And we've had people find out or question because we got our smartphones out sometimes or we're talking, they overhear us. They find out that we're like resellers or that we're not just buying it for personal use basically, and they'll refuse to sell to us. And I say every damn time that this happens, I say the same thing. So you've got it out here for 30. We're willing to give you 30, but you're not going to sell to us just because we're trying to make money off it. But the next person who walks up and offers 30, you're going to take 30. Either way, you get $30. You're the one who put it out here for sale for 30. Are you going to stick to that or not? And the answer is always no. So since people are such dicks to anybody out there trying to make money on something that they know about, then guess what? You know, so if somebody's got a $50 lot on Craigslist, I feel a little bit bad if it's worth 500, but I'm paying them face value for it, cash, and honestly, usually I didn't bring much more anyway, and I don't want to go to the ATM. So there you have it. Everything you need to know about the different types of lots, the different ways I deal with it, the customers, the different markets, how to not get scammed, how to not get screwed over with bad lots, just everything. So if you want to get into it, or now after hearing this, you don't want to get into it, which is the correct answer, hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, leave a big old thumbs up on it, and I will see you guys next video.